Hello. Thank you for joining us today for our webinar. We're just going to wait a couple of more minutes so that you can all join, and then we're going to start the webinar. All right, I think we can start. We have many attendees today, so a warm welcome to all of you. Thank you for joining this webinar entitled Discover the Full-Time ESSEC Global MBA. We're going to dive in. We're going to get some insight. We're going to get some, shared experience by our alumni that are, here today with us. Before we start, I am going to start with a few housekeeping information. So this webinar is going to last 60 minutes. It is going to be recorded, so don't worry if you need to leave the webinar at some point, you'll get the replay. And if you have questions, you can start adding your questions in the Q&A box that is in the Zoom, and we'll find the time at the end of the webinar to address them. Okay, so our agenda today, so we're going to introduce ourselves, obviously, and then we're going to dive in ESSEC and the Global MBA. Our alumni today are going to share their testimonials and their experiences and their advice. Then I'll say a quick word about the application and admission process, and then it's going to be up to your questions, and we're going to save time for your questions at the end, and then let you know how you can keep in touch with us. Okay, so I am Audrey Mathieu. I am Global Marketing and Recruitment Manager. I have been with ESSEC for the past 2 years, mainly focusing on the Global MBA. I am coordinating the marketing activities, and I am also recruiting for France and mainly Europe, but you might have seen me in North America, in Asia as well on fairs, and you might have talked to one of my colleagues. We're 5 recruiters all over the world. So I am just one of them today to help with the webinar. So I'm here today with David Sluss, the academic director, and 3 of our alumni. So they're going to introduce themselves. So up to you, David.
All right, thank you. Again, we're honored that you're with us. We're happy to see so many people joining us for this webinar to find out more about our Global MBA at ESSEC Business School. As Audrey mentioned, I'm the academic director of the Global MBA program. But before that, I'm a professor of leadership and organizational behavior. I've been in executive education and as a scholar for the past 25 years. I've been at ESSEC for 4 years. I'm from the US originally, but love living here in the area of Paris. And so I'd like to go to Sid now to introduce yourself.
Thanks, Professor. My name is Siddharth. I go by Sid. I graduated from the MBA last year in 2023. I am currently a senior consultant in KPMG's Global Decarbonization Hub here in Paris, and I'm happy to tell you my story today. Thanks. I guess it's Mireille.
Mireille,
Yes.
yeah, please.
Yes, hi everyone. I'm Mireille Lemarvin. So I come from Lebanon, and I'm a managing consultant at Capgemini Invent based in Paris as well. So I'm part of the 2022 cohort, and looking forward to discuss with you today. To you, Carlos.
Hi everyone, my name is Carlos. I'm from Mexico City. I came to Paris in August 2022. I graduated as well with Sid on 2023, and I'm currently based in Paris, working at Brevo as a senior customer success manager, and happy to answer your questions.
Wonderful, thank you all. So let's get started. So the idea first is to introduce you to ESSEC, and then have a little bit of a deep dive into your experience within the Global MBA. We'll overview the curriculum, the customization process that you can transform your career. And then we'll turn the time, do that relatively quickly, to have time to speak with Carlos, with Sid, and Mireille about their experiences as Global MBA participants and now alumni of the program. And then, as mentioned, we'll finish with the Q&A. So as you can see here, ESSEC Business School has been in existence for quite a bit of time, since 1907. So we have 4 campuses throughout the world, 2 within the Paris area, Cergy, which is just west of Paris, and then where I am currently based in the La Défense campus, which is our business district of Paris, the largest business district in Europe, dedicated to mixed use, etc. Overall in France, as you can see, the numbers here were quite well ranked. Very proud of going up 16 spots in the Global MBA worldwide ranking for Financial Times. In addition, we're number 28 in the world in QS rankings, and we continue to improve. We train and educate many managers in the executive education side. In addition, we have 71,000 graduates worldwide, and every year that continues to grow by the thousands, 1 or 2,000 every year as we continue to grow. The current class, so who would you be with? What would your class look like if you came to the Global MBA? So our current cohort is 49 participants. They started in September of this year. They go until they graduate in October next year, as they move through the course curriculums and also the career accelerating experiences. The average age is 30 years old, 6 years average work experience, 55% female participants from 20 nationalities. So this is as diverse as you can get with an international experience within a cohort this small. Coming not in only diversity in the sense of international experience in country, but also in sector. So digital, finance, engineering, law, language, agriculture. So you come into a classroom that is rife with diverse thought and experiences. So your N of 1 sample size becomes an N of 1 or N of 49 or 50, which then multiply that by the number of years and experiences they have. So now your sample size of your experience goes up exponentially. The MBA, who's it for? It's really for a transformative experience for early to mid-career high potential managers and professionals. So we're looking for folks that are ambitious, that are proactive, collaborative, that want to come in between their 3rd year of experience to 12 years of experience. As mentioned, you can already see we already went over what the class is like. It is full-time. One of our mantras here is it's very intense but fun. So an intense but fun experience. If you go on LinkedIn, look at some of the participants' posts, you'll see intense but fun is a mantra there. It's full-time, 12 months experience versus a 2-year MBA. We are packing it into 1 year. We do have a new 2-year part-time apprenticeship option. So this is something that we can talk about if you have questions about at the end. As you can see, how much it costs, and of course, there's scholarships and so forth available. So program at the glance, as we mentioned, it's a 12-month experience. What I want to focus in on is what we call concentrations and certifications. So we have 3 key topics of choice or concentrations, which align with our pillars and our expertise and our know-how here at ESSEC, which is strategic sustainability, digital leadership, and innovation entrepreneurship. So as you come into the MBA, you can customize your journey by thinking about, what do I want to concentrate on? What can I, in a sense, be able to come and transform my career around sustainability? I'm maybe looking for a new position there, such as SID was, digital leadership, innovation entrepreneurship. Then as to the certifications or career learning labs, several years ago, as we were looking at the MBA and trying to look at how to continuously improve, one of the big questions was, what is the purpose of an MBA? Why are you coming back for an MBA? And an MBA is really helping you train to become a senior executive, to be a leader within your industry, within your role. And as we look at many of the MBAs across the world, I've had experience redesigning MBAs here at ESSEC, at Georgia Tech, University of South Carolina, and teaching at other universities throughout the world, is one of the things that's lacking, that has been lacking, is this socialization into what it's like to work in a particular industry, in a particular role. So as we looked at what our know-how, what our expertise was around, we had particular expertise in the industries or roles in luxury, finance, consulting, and product management. So in addition to your courses, throughout the full year, you can also focus on a career learning lab. You're learning what it is to be an executive in the luxury industry or in finance, or in consulting, or in product management. And there's some mixing and matching that you can do there. Throughout the year, you have two very large career and networking experiences, what we call learning expeditions, in key European business hubs. And then last but not least, as you finish out your courses and finish out your career learning labs, then you go off to have a career accelerator experience. So here is the traditional, either the internship, where you're going to work for a company on a temporary basis to get a feel for what it's like working there. You're doing a real life project, you're working with them full time in a team, and many times those internships convert into full-time positions. Secondly, we have a global field project, where this is you're working in a team environment during your MBA for a particular partner of ours, working on a real life project for them. It's also a full-time experience, but working with a MBA team. This option is really great for those that are possibly needing a little bit more experience in a particular industry that they are lacking, or a particular function. And then last but not least is a new option, which is a venturing project. Those that might want to come in and actually use the MBA to springboard their own entrepreneurial venture. And then they get coaching by ESSEC Ventures. So this is an organization that's within ESSEC that's been around for 20 years. It's raised more than $2 billion over that time frame. Many companies coming out of it. And now we're taking advantage of that within our MBA. I saw there was a hand raised earlier. If you can, just put all questions into the Q&A box, and we'll make sure we get to those questions at the end. To explain a little bit of that trajectory, what does the year look like? So 1, 2, 3. First, becoming a global leader, the core courses and working through your career labs is from September through the end of April, or excuse me, the end of March. And then you have the last part of your MBA from April and May. You're customizing your journey with your electives, with these concentrations. And then from mid-May through mid-September, at least 4 months, you're working with your career accelerating experience. I want to do a little bit of deep dive into the electives. Some of you might be wondering, what really are these concentrations all about? What are the types of courses that I'm taking? How many do I need to take, etc.? So again, everyone comes through the MBA together. You're in teams during that whole experience. So we assign teams based on diverse experience, where people are coming from, gender, etc. And we're able to be in those teams during all your core classes. As you move into your electives, now you're going to focus on on your concentration. So if you choose sustainability, then you need to take 3 electives from that topic, from sustainability, and then you choose 3 additional courses from any of the other courses. So each elective, or each concentration has 4 courses available to you to take. You have to take at least 3 to make it your concentration, and then you take 3 additional courses. So this allows you lots of customization to be able to mix and match not only the concentration, but also that can go and support your career learning lab. To explain a little bit more and to give you examples of these career accelerator experiences. So we have at the end of the curriculum, again, this is from mid-May until mid-September, you're either doing an internship, a global field project, or a venturing project. So let me talk about the internships and the global field projects, and then I'll spend a little bit of time on the venturing project, which is new this year. We had 2 that just finished up venturing projects in the class that's just graduating. We actually have our graduation dinner in 2 days on Thursday, which is a fun and exciting time. So the internships, as mentioned, you gain hands-on experience in your chosen field. You're applying what you're learning in classes, obviously, to a full-time position. Some examples, working as a key account manager at Whiting's SAS, or a in-step program at Infosys, or working in Estee Lauder Group as an online strategic initiatives coordinator. So you're working in real life jobs, obviously, and you're able to start seeing what it's like to be an MBA after the MBA. Many of these, again, convert into full-time positions. Then you have the global field project, where this offers hands-on experience tackling a real business challenge with a team. So your team are other MBA students that chose to do this option. We really tried to align these experiences up with the students. So that process actually starts very early. So as soon as the new cohort comes in, our dedicated talent center is working with each participant, looking at their career goals, what are they looking at? And as they start choosing the path they want to take, if it's a global field project, they start looking at what are the goals of these individuals and try to, as much as possible, match up the partners projects with the career goals of the MBA students, participants. So for example, PayPal, they looked at how the rental market payment methods in France, how to make that happen. It's something that's new within France. Mercedes-Benz, the team that worked there is sustainability in the planning of a car manufacturing. TomTom, a digital communication strategy within their Asia area, APAC area. Jean-Loeb, which is a luxury brand, developing an e-commerce strategy. So again, done as an MBA team versus a single internship. You're doing this many times when you're trying to gain some more experience that then allows you to have a better entree into that industry or into that role. And then last but not least of your options is the venturing project. We suspect this is something that, what we're looking for is usually out of 50, it's a handful, 4 or 5 maybe looking at starting their own venture. We had 2 that officially did a venturing project this past cohort that's graduating. We had an additional person that actually created their own venture on the side in addition to doing an internship, which is interesting. But the venturing project, the idea is, hey, you might want to start your own company. So come to ESSEC and take advantage of our entrepreneurial expertise. Indeed, I'm a chair professor in leading at scale. So I'm part of the Entrepreneurship Center, and that I look at how startups, once they are now past the startup phase and they're really scaling, how is it that they're going to scale their organization? As you have product market fit, you have the capital coming in. Now you actually have to hire people and bring them on board and develop the talent, et cetera. So in the venturing projects, you're starting from inception. So using the Canvas or Lean Startup approach, your project will receive support via coaching from the ESSEC Ventures that I mentioned earlier. It's an organization within ESSEC. They have full-time coaches that coach across our bachelor's and master's programs and our executive programs, those that are wanting to start their own companies. So they will take you along that process. You need to be very proactive, as an entrepreneur should be, to create your venture. And so these examples are examples of companies that came out of ESSEC Ventures. Some of them you might have heard. Content Square, for example, being a unicorn that is now expanded internationally, and the CEO is now headquartered in the US. Greenly, Turtle Tree, et cetera. So some very interesting companies and lots of expertise to rely on. Once you graduate from your MBA, as a little side note, as an alumni, then let's say it's 5 years down the road and you're like, you know what, I'm ready to start my own company. We also have a relationship with Station F, which is the largest incubator in Europe. It's in an old train station. That's why they call it Station F in Paris. And we have also coaches there. They have a very large ecosystem. So currently they're incubating 35, I think it is, companies that are founded by alumni. So the ESSEC Ventures are for those that while you're still in school, while you're still in the program. And then as you move on, you still have access to, you apply for that incubator and you're selected from there. So those are our 3 career accelerator options. Just to finish out our conversation here, just give you some example of how you can mix and match these things. So let's take example Sumath from India, who was a consultant pre-MBA job located in India, now wants to, comes and does the core, as working along through the core curriculum is choosing to do the Finance Career Learning Lab. So during that September to end of March timeframe is being socialized into what it is to be in the finance industry, taking finance courses that are required as part of this particular career learning lab. Then moving into the concentration, decide to concentrate, wants to do sustainable finance. And then, as you can see, does a project for the Career Accelerator. So you can start seeing the mixing and matching that can happen. I want to go into consulting, but I want to be on digital side. So digital leadership and consulting, Career Learning Lab. Or I want to really work in an innovation center. I'm an engineer and I really love innovation. I really want to really build up my innovation skills. I'll do the innovation entrepreneurship, concentration, and then I may do product management for my Career Learning Lab that aligns really well with working within an innovation center, et cetera. So that's the power of these concentrations and certifications. You can mix and match based on your career goals. All right. Now, last but not least, is the Talent Center. And I think what's interesting for me as the director and teaching MBA programs for many years is I saw the experience of the MBA participant seen as mainly in the classroom, and realizing now being that director and really talking to the participants, much of their experience is with the Talent Center. I mean, these are the folks they get to know really well. And so we have a dedicated talent center, career services, if you will, that's dedicated to the Global MBA full-time. So they have a process that they'll walk you through to be able to partner with you, build on your own proactivity and your own ambition. So again, we don't provide, but we partner, right? So you're coming in, you're taking your proactivity, you're taking your ambition, and you're looking at, okay, what is it that I want to do? So get, set, launch. So they'll help you through how to prepare for the MBA talent branding on LinkedIn, CV. There's many workshops there, connecting with the Talent Center team and getting coaching. You move to power up your skills. So you start your career coaching. You'll have interactive workshops to polish different competencies such as interviewing, personal branding, et cetera. Then you move to Shine Bright, as they call it, which is you're gaining industry insights throughout corporate visits and presentations, which actually is happening from the very beginning through your Career Learning Labs, which is connected with the Talent Center. You discover new MBA markets through these field trips, going to, for example, this year, we're all going to London, and then depending on the Career Learning Lab, you're either going to Milan for the luxury folks or going to Munich for product management, consulting, finance. Then at the very end, you lock in your target. You prepare thoroughly, interviews to excel, et cetera. One thing I'd like to say at this point, and if you come and join us, you'll hear me say at the very beginning, your job search starts yesterday as an MBA student, participant. So we really do want you to come in and be proactive. You can start your networking now. During the application process, start thinking about where is it you want to go in the world? Who do I know there? And start doing that now and today. All right. Now, all this is great, but what actually happens with our alumni? If they all never got jobs, then we shouldn't be around. Well, that's not the case here. What's really, really amazing for me, coming especially from the US, that has a little bit different view, this really is a transformative experience. We have 89% make at least what we call a double jump, which means they changed either location, industry, or function, 2 of those. 52% make a triple jump, where they change location, they change industry, and they change function. And you can see the actual individual 69% function, et cetera. In addition to that, quite proud of this, is that within 6 months of graduation, 91% have landed their full-time job. They've received a job offer. You can see the average post-MBA salary. The little star there means it is adjusted for personal purchasing parity. And this is average MBA coming out of the MBA immediately, which is different than the Financial Times, which is 3 years post-MBA. So we're seeing within the past couple of years a very nice upward trajectory in our immediate post-MBA salary. And 94% worked in an international environment. All right, so now I get to stop talking, which is great, because really I think you guys want to hear from our alumni. So we're going to talk through these 3 questions, which might be questions you might have of our alumni. So we have Sid, Mireille, and Carlos with us. And we're going to start with this first question. And so you can go ahead and unmute yourselves, my friends. And so the first question, and we're going to start with Mireille, if that's okay, is why choose ESSEC Global MBA? You had many options. Why did you choose ESSEC?
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. Indeed, like for my case, I came from from the public sector. So I was very, very far on the organizational part, etc. So what I really liked about when I started discussing with ESSEC, and I've seen the difference in comparison with other schools, is that I had the option, like you just mentioned before, that to tailor my experience. That I don't need to be like, in a box starting day one, that I need to end in X place, or I need to be in entrepreneurship to go to that place. So that was a bit one of the main pillar of my decision when I took it in 2022. And it was not, I have to say, it was not that clear as a past right now. So it's great to see that it's very, very organized, and you can get to accompany everyone on that. So,
Great.
yeah.
Thank you, Marie. Thank you. All right. So Carlos.
Well, it's a good one, and actually, I think that an MBA needs to meet your expectations and in terms of what your professional and personal needs. Personally, it was a decision to be in Europe, so already I was like narrowing my options. Then I started, of course, like looking at rankings of different universities. And for me, the program was super interesting. I'm someone that comes from the e-commerce background, so I'm always looking into programs that has a lot of subjects related to innovation, digital marketing, entrepreneurship. So that program was actually meeting what I wanted to focus at some point. And also for me, it was super attractive. At the end, I didn't have the chance to go to Singapore, but for me, it was very interesting, the opportunity to have the exchange to Singapore. It was definitely very attractive to me at the beginning, and for sure it was very interesting at the end.
Yeah, just to add a little bit of color to that is as to the exchanges. So something that's not put on the slides, but we also have a partnership with Mannheim. So it's still Europe, but it's a different country. So depending on your goals, Mannheim also is an option for exchange, which is great. Sid, what about you?
I've got more or less the same story as Carlos and Rene, but like I was as well looking for something that was within France because of personal reasons that I wanted to stay in France long term. But it was also extremely important for me to have a customizable program, as Mirai mentioned. And coming from law school and as a former lawyer, I was used to a 600 strong cohort, which is something that I definitely was not looking for. So with ESSEC, where it's a smaller cohort, much more customizable, that kind of really pushed it for me. And I guess that was really what was the final final thing that said, this is the place that I want to be in, is that perfect size as well as the customization available. But yeah, ESSEC's always been one of my best decisions in my life, and I'm quite happy with it.
Wonderful, thank you. So Sid, you actually answered a question I was going to follow up with is what sort of was that final straw that broke the camel's back, as we say in English? What was that final thing that had you move over, and decide ESSEC is the place for me? So you mentioned this boutique size, personalization, not just customizing your journey, but we really being at 50, 55 students as our target. We're really able to get to know everybody. Everybody's able to get to know each other, and it becomes much more of a targeted, experience for a career. But what about for you, Carlos? What was the last little thing that fell in place that said, "Yep, ESSEC is where I want to go"?
For me, I think that it was interesting, the size of the cohort for sure, because you are not a number, you're actually a person, which makes totally the difference when you are actually having interactions in a daily basis situation with the professors. And for me, as I was mentioning, like the exchanges, it was something that was super attractive for personal reasons. I didn't took it, but it was very attractive to me to be part of the French environment, French community, French networking, but at the same time be able and be flexible to travel around.
Okay. Now, if you don't mind me asking, Carlos, people might be wondering, like, why didn't you take the Singapore exchange? If any,
Yeah, the thing is, by the time that we were supposed to do the exchange, I had already committed for an internship. That it was a very good opportunity for me, and I decided to take it because it was a great opportunity to start building up my career in Paris, and with potential of converting, of course, converting the internship. So that's why.
right?
But if I
Yeah.
hadn't closed the internship, probably I would have taken the exchange.
Yep. In the exchange, you know, one of the advantages of that, especially for those that are thinking about APAC after, right? So Singapore is a nice place to sort of be. It gives you an opportunity to get to know that region and area and possibly an internship in that area and et cetera. Mireille, what about for you? What was that last little thing that had you choose ESSEC?
Carlos answered that, like maybe mentioned everything, but I would say, like, trying to remember everybody's name. Like I knew every one of my, colleagues, my cohorts, my teacher, and the teachers as well. Like we didn't need to introduce each other on every event, for example. We knew each other, and that was a key difference for me.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. Well, let's go to the next one. So how has, if you look back on your last couple of years, how has it been, you could say accelerated, or how is it accelerating your career? So here, let's start with Carlos.
Okay, I think that the main point is the network. ESSEC has super big and strong network community. The alumni, they are super approachable in general, even if you are not even close to the generation or not even the same program. The only fact that that you come from ESSEC, they are very open to discuss. Even if you reach on LinkedIn, they are very responsive. So I think that this is super important because it depends, of course, what you want to do in the future. But in France, and I can tell you specifically in Paris, everything works based on the network. So if you have the right network, you can succeed without any question. So for sure, like all my interviews within my job seeking period were thanks to a recommendation, someone that passed my CV. It's very hard to nowadays to go through the algorithms of a regular CV, especially if, of course, you don't have exactly the same profile that they are looking for, because that's actually one part of the main points of the MBA, that you are like maybe transitioning from one background to another one, and if actually doesn't match exactly what they are looking for, it's very hard to get that first interview. So for me, definitely the network was super important and very powerful, as well. The name of the reputation of the name of ESSEC in France, it's also very powerful.
Okay, wonderful. And I think what's interesting, as you mentioned, the network. If I'm listening, I might go, or watching this, I might say, well, if you only have 50 a year, how big is that network, right? What's interesting for me, coming into ESSEC a couple, 4 years ago now, is in French we say "Je suis ESSEC," I am ESSEC, nous sommes ESSEC, which is interesting because you don't hear this in other places, right? I am an ESSEC, and so if you're an ESSEC, all the alumni, you're a big family. So 71,000 around the world that you have access to. So that's good. Mireille, what about for you? How is the Global MBA accelerating your career?
It's actually interesting what you said, like about the network, but it's also about the partnerships. Actually, I landed my job eventually in the classroom, because one of the companies, Capgemini Events, was coming actually by invitation with the professor of the course of management. And this is how I gave just a small paper with a CV. It was not even digital, so it was just a piece of paper. In January, I remember, so it was like after just only 3 months where I started to know what I really want to do, and this is how it accelerated my career eventually. So I got the offer. It was in April, so before graduation. So that's also a good part of partnerships, the big global network of ESSEC everywhere around the globe.
Okay. Let me ask a little follow-up if it's okay. Since you've been at Capgemini now, right, and you've been working there for, I think you're coming up on 2.5 years?
3, yes.
3 years, yeah. How have you seen the global MBA influence how you work with others, how you're managing your career, how you're leading others, etc.?
Actually, it's quite interesting that, you know, the same essence of ESSEC that you see in the school, you can find it in the core team in Capgemini events. Like there is a special core team like responsible for all the, you know, the communication with the school, all the collaboration, and you can really feel the same, you know, spirit there, where everyone, like you mentioned before, try to network, try to help support in any way possible, whether by courses, by giving, you know, courses, by giving just coaching, some coaching on LinkedIn, or even internally of how we can help each other, like, you know, and support each other to move on. So this is what is really really key, I feel like, about the spirit of leadership. And like, it's not just a name, like, yeah, we are a leadership or a managers. No, it's not. It's really very core to what ESSEC is.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Sid, your turn.
Well, for me, it's a little surprising. I was quite taken aback when I thought about how to answer this question, but for me, genuinely, it was how my mindset has changed massively after the MBA. Like I mentioned, I used to be a very jaded and cynical lawyer, looking at a lot of it quite
Lawyers are
negatively.
jaded, really? I didn't know that. Okay.
But yeah, it's true. It's like how my brain has changed since I finished the MBA and I joined the Decarb Hub at KPMG. I'm so much more excited about picking up a new project. I'm so much more excited about things that I don't understand and what I want to understand. That really is something that comes out when you're in a grand group or a big group like within KPMG or with any consulting firm or anywhere you are, and that active want or need to get better than want and need to be a part of that group is something that really is a positive thing, and it really helps me make those connections at work and makes me grow as a professional. It marks me as someone who is excited and wants to learn and wants to work, wants to do good work. I think that has really accelerated my career, and I think that's something that I was definitely not expecting, but it's a very welcome change in how I look at my own career and my life now.
Great, great. You know, as I think about you were introducing yourselves, could I, before we ask this last question, which is sort of, you know, advice to a younger you, maybe it'd be interesting to just get a sense of what you did before and what you're doing now. So everyone gets that sense of where you were and your previous position, and then now what you're doing, and just repeat what your current position is to get a sense of, was it a single, double, or triple jump, if you will. We'll sort of go in backwards order. Sid, maybe you want to let us know, and then Mireille, and then Carlos.
Sure. Before ESSEC, I was an international trade and economic policy lawyer for Ernst & Young and a law firm. I worked
Were
essentially.
you here? You were here in.
No, I was in India, but I bounced around Europe and the UK quite a bit.
Okay.
But yeah, essentially based out of India. Yes.
Okay. And now.
And now I'm in KPMG in Paris, in what we call the Global Decarb Hub.
Okay.
As
wonderful.
I mentioned.
Awesome. Carlos, for you. Oh, sorry, Mireille. That's right, Mireille and then Carlos. Sorry.
No worries.
So previously I was in Saudi Arabia at the French embassy, working for the defense sector.
Ah, okay.
Communication. And today I'm a managing consultant in the corporate experience at Capgemini event in Paris.
Okay. Wonderful.
It's about a triple jump, actually. It is.
Yeah, definitely. Carlos.
For me, I was basically designing car loans in a startup for financing cars in Mexico, and now I'm well, the role is a senior customer success manager, but basically I'm designing customer journey for digital marketing companies. Okay.
So you're consulting to, or providing the service to clients.
Yeah, correct.
The digital marketing strategy.
Exactly. It could be looked as a consultant, but it is very focused on digital marketing.
Okay, very cool. Very cool. So you can see, you know, already, I mean, this isn't just on paper, right? These are real life, as mentioned, Mireille doing a triple jump. We were actually just in Riyadh last week as a SEC doing a masterclass. That was fun to be there for the first time. Okay, so last but not least, I love this question. What advice do you have for a younger you? So imagine, you're now back when it was applying for MBA programs and you're sitting in this webinar thinking about a SEC. What advice do you have for younger you? So now we're Sid, and then Carlos, then Mireille.
I thought about this question a lot. Probably invest in Bitcoin is where I would start, but I think it's very important, and I say this a lot when I do talk to potential students at ESSEC. I keep saying, live your own story. We all have people that we look up to, people who have said, okay, I did an MBA, it was a great opportunity, it was a great experience, so maybe you should consider one too. We all look up to a lot of people, but it's also very important to remember that everyone has a different life, different story, different potentials, different limitations. So I'd say don't try to emulate someone else's career. Try to find your own path. Lean on the people that you look up to for advice, for support, for learn from them as to how you can position yourself. But remember that it's your own story, and just don't try to recreate something that you saw someone a little older than you did. I think that's very important for a lot of us who are still on the younger end, or at least when I was a little younger. It's important for us to find your own path. And I think post MBA, I think that's definitely been something that I wish I could have told I probably wouldn't have put so much pressure on myself when I was younger if I had been able to tell myself that.
Okay, thank you, Sid. All right, Carlos.
I think that I'm gonna go back again to the networking point again, and it's because for me it was very important. Personally, as someone that is very social and I actively want to meet people, but I can see the difference between people that know how to network and are very interested in network, and the network effect. It's impressive what you can get. You never know who is standing next to you, who could be interesting to you to work in the future, to collaborate in whatever way, make business, become your business partner at some point. So it's super interesting when every get together that we used to have, it's at least one person could be super interesting to add on your list, on your contact, on even if possible to exchange numbers, get a coffee at some point. Because that's actually how all the world moves up based on human connections. So the fact that you are able to identify opportunities and to have a great network that will be helpful, maybe not at this moment, but at some point of your career life, it's definitely something that you should never stop networking. I wish I would have started before, since the moment that we arrive. Of course, you enter. When you start the MBA, you have the rush of the moment, and you are meeting people, and you are maybe more interested in meeting your colleagues, and of course you need to have some fun. It's part of the journey as well, but also to keep in mind that big opportunities actually come from the people that are also part of the journey of the MBA, that are more senior, that are your professors, that are alumni that were invited to these kind of events. So I think that 100% it's to do more network actively, and of course learn French as soon as possible if you want to stay in Paris. That's my advice number one.
Okay, thank you, Carlos. Merci beaucoup. All right, Mireille.
Yeah, that's just to complete maybe. It's of course you need to trust the process. It is a long process, but also keep in mind to do your homework as well. So yes, ESSEC will give you the right tools, will give you the right network, will give you the right partnerships, the right classes, the right academic classes, but it really depends on what you do with that. So I think that's a very good point to keep in mind, that it's very easy to say it's the fault of that thing, or that it's because of, I don't know, I didn't do, I wasn't supported well enough, or I missed the class, I was sick. There's always 10 reasons to fail. It's always just keep in mind, just trust the process, do your homework, and eventually you will get where you want to go.
Okay. Wise words. This has been great. I'm learning something, right? So, Sid, I may be a little bit on the other end of the career continuum, but there's still things I need to do to live my own story, right? That's really a good point, right? This idea of networking, you have artificial intelligence, you still need relational intelligence, right? As you move along, right? And yeah, so that's wonderful. Well, thank you. So at this point, the question might be, how do we apply? So I'm going to go back to Audrey. Audrey's going to walk us through this, and then we'll have our quick Q&A, or not quick Q&A. We'll quickly do this and then have our Q&A.
Yeah, thank you, David. And thank you also. I guess that every one of you wants to play now. So the question is, how do we do that? There's several steps, obviously. But the first one is really important, and it is to prepare, right? Because you're targeting an MBA, you need to clarify your project, you need to think about it. So there are many steps. The first would be to contact us, so the recruiters, the program advisors, so that we can actually guide you through it and give you all the details of what the application is going to be like. And then a very important step is to talk to current participants or alumni, like the ones we have today. Current participants, because they just went through that thinking process, just like you. They were in your shoes not that long ago. So talking to them and knowing why they chose ESSEC, how did the application process go, is very important. On our website, we have what we call ESSEC Talk, so you can go to the website and actually connect with the current participants, so feel free to do that. And then as recruiters as well, we will connect you to alumni so that you can have a little chat with them as well. I would encourage you to join events such as the one that we have today, webinars, but also fairs if you are abroad, because we are touring the world right now. And if you are in Paris, we are organizing master classes very often, so feel free to join. We can actually give you a taste of what ESSEC is like and also spend some time with you and guide you through the process as well. And one of the things that are important in the application are the tests. So either the English test or the aptitude management test. So start looking at what those tests are, which one could actually be the one that you're taking so that you can start preparing. Then the application is very straightforward. You go online, you upload all the documents that you need, your transcripts, your degrees, your essays, all the documents that we ask for, and prepare your essay. These are very important. That's when you're going to clarify the project. That's why we're going to see, why you want to do the MBA at this point in your career, why at ESSEC, and what is the project behind it. Then we're going to review your application, see if you're eligible, and you're going to be invited for an interview with the jury. And then after that interview, that's when we decide on your admission, and then you decide to secure your seat in the program with a deposit. Just a quick reminder of the prerequisites. You need to be 25-year-old minimum. You need a 4-year bachelor's degree, but we do accept 3 years bachelor's degree, but that will include a VAP process. We need 3 years of work experience minimum. We don't require any managerial experience, but that could be an asset, obviously. We are looking at your international experience as well. And that's pretty much it. Then you know that the tests are required. And then just to remind you that we have rounds of application every month, and that's the next one is going to be ending on November 18th. And so the earlier you apply, you can benefit from early bird offers. And so the current one is actually an 8,000 early bird offer. So go for it. And I think that's it. We're going to go to the Q&A. We have many questions today, actually. So I'm going to go over them right now. I guess the first one might be, well, for you mainly, David, but does the ESSEC Global MBA provide a pathway to enter top strategy consulting firms like McKinsey, EY, and boutique firms in France like Advancy, Simon-Kucher, Harris & Co? Are there multiple alumni from the program working in these firms?
So yes, and yes, with some qualifications. So yes, we have alumni across these firms. Are you going straight into McKinsey, Booz Allen, et cetera? Well, I think what's interesting to me is I see many times we pick the big names when we're pre-MBA. And as we come in MBA and we start realizing what we really want to do, we realize, you know what, Bain's awesome or McKinsey's awesome, but there's these others that may not be as out there in the common vernacular that are really powerhouses of consulting companies. So if you're really looking for, that's the purpose of the Consulting Career Learning Lab. We have each one of the Career Learning Labs has a director that is a well-heeled professional. So the Consulting Career Learning Lab is a previous partner at EY, deep experience in many, he's worked in all the big four consulting companies, et cetera. So yes. Sid, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, that's actually exactly what happened with me. I came in with the whole idea of, okay, with the MBB probably being where I wanted to go, and I interviewed with McKinsey, but I chose to I chose a role over the firm. And that's definitely something that happens, but we do have a very strong network. When I was doing my job hunt, we have alumni in every single firm that you've mentioned. So it does come down to how good you connect with these alumni and how good you can sell yourself and sell your transferable skills and what you've learned during the MBA. So yeah, I mean, the option's there. It's about what you want to choose. And at the end of the day, I would suggest that you look for the role and not for the firm. I think that's really important.
Yeah. And the last quick caveat, I know we have lots of questions, is for the French boutique firms, and obviously, speaking French, the local practice, right? So Sid works in a global company. He works for the international side versus the French side due to the language. What's next, Audrey?
Well, I guess that's for the alumni as well, but how hard would it be to get an internship position for an international student?
Let's see. Carlos, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, sure, I can take it. To be honest, it depends a lot on the position and the company. It's not that hard, but of course, it's not that as easy as if you are a French speaker. I think that it's not precisely if you are international student or a French student. It's more if you actually know the language or not. If there are some positions that may require French, if you don't feel comfortable with French, maybe that will be a problem. But there's a lot of companies, especially there's a lot of startups, as David was mentioning with Station F, where they are looking for any type of roles, and it's not that hard. But it depends, I think a lot on the language, but it's not that they are against international students or something similar. And at some point, it could be a plus if you have a background that is different or experience from in other side that could be beneficial for the company. So it's
Right.
I mean, not the easiest thing to do, but it's not that hard.
Yeah. Audrey. Oh, you're muted. You're muted, Audrey.
How do career learning labs facilitate professional development and skill enhancement for individuals seeking to pivot into a different industry?
Sounds like it was written by a professor as an essay question. Let's see.
No.
No, that's great. It's a good question.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in short, it gives you hands-on experience and knowledge, and you meet people, right? So that's the purpose of it, is you're with a micro community within the MBA. So we have these 50 students, but now you even have a smaller micro community of others that are really interested in consulting or really interested in product management, wanting to go into the luxury industry or wanting to go into finance industry. And now you have you don't have a professor, but someone that was a CEO at a company that leads up the luxury, or someone that is an ex-Spotify, Google, Meta senior product manager who does now their own product management consulting, leading up their product management, a former EY partner, up and coming star in sustainable finance, right? To lead up these career learning labs. So you have access to not only their network, but you're meeting more and more people within that. So that's where the professional development comes in, is the networking, learning what it's like to be in that role in that industry. So we have executive education style workshops. They're not courses that are graded. They're workshops where you're learning hands-on skills.
Great. We have a question around rankings. So you mentioned the ranking at the beginning of the webinar, the FT ranking. Could you help me understand the factors behind his ranking and how the program distinguishes itself in terms of value proposition?
Okay, so repeat it's two questions in one. Repeat the first part.
Yeah, so could you help me understand the factors behind the ranking and how does the program distinguish itself in terms of value proposition?
So understand the purpose or the process?
The process.
The process. So for the process of the ranking, I'll direct you to the Financial Times website. They'll have a whole methodology as how they come up with the rankings. And I think that's probably a more efficient way to find out than me explaining it, possibly not 100% correctly. The next question is, how do we distinguish ourselves? Not to be a broken record, but is customization, boutique, career learning labs. So this ability to now be socialized into a role in senior executive, whether it's consulting, finance, et cetera, right? Really bringing that explicitly out front into your experience versus it's something implicitly in the background is our unique value proposition, I think. Marie, please.
I just wanted to repeat, so I'm not familiar with all the process, but I really remember the email that has been sent when I was at the MBA in 2022. We're really bad at completing the surveys. We have a really bad, very low number of response, and that's really a key for the numbers. That's what I remember. Just
yeah. And I think, what's interesting, your comment brings up is one of our things we're also really improving upon is our alumni engagement. So we just actually hired a full-time alumni engagement manager within our talent center. So it's not just about being here as your MBA participant and you graduate and adios, au revoir, right? See you later. It's really having a longer term relationship, not just with a ESSEC MBA, but with the Global MBA alumni, really continuing
so
that.
it should be mandatory that you cannot graduate before completing the survey for Financial Times.
Well, yeah, that'll be 3 years after.
Well,
but
we've
yeah.
been busy. We've done pretty well after the MBA. We've been busy.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. What, some other questions, Audrey? I know we have quite a bit there.
Yeah. So one says, I prefer collaborative culture. For the panelists, would you tell me your experience to show how collaborative ESSEC was?
Well, I guess okay, so I'll take that. It's the entire year is collaborative. I think that's literally the cornerstone of how ESSEC runs its courses, right? Like Carlos and I are very good friends because we've gotten very frustrated with each other working on group projects together, or we've worked on projects together with literally every single person. And this is where, again, the small cohort becomes a really important part because I know exactly how each person in my cohort works, how they think, how they operate. That sometimes it's a good thing and a bad thing. Sometimes you're like, no, he just gets on my nerves, like Carlos and me. But you do have that every single program, every single subject, every single topic that you will study will have a group element. You will be working on career cases, consulting cases or projects where there's the end product is where you're leaning on each other's skills and experiences. I know that in some of my projects, a lot of them leaned on me for my experience with law and consulting on the delivery end, but then I know nothing about tech. So I would lean on someone who knew tech, someone who came from an engineering background. It kind of all comes together, and it's from the start to the end, it's just collaboration. There is nothing that you're doing just by yourself. And I think that's really important in terms of how, when you, especially in the consulting world where you're working in larger groups or smaller groups or very strategically sized teams. And so, yeah, it's been collaborative from get-go.
I'll follow up to that as well, because the next question is for all the alumni. But as for your position and career you have today, it is what you have imagined and targeted before joining the MBA, or you change your mind during the life-changing experience of the MBA?
So Mireille, go first, and then we'll do
Start by
Carlos
saying,
and Sid.
I had never imagined myself managing consultants after 2 years of the MBA. It was not part of the plan at all.
Okay. Carlos, you wanted to say something as well?
Yeah. I mean, for sure. No, you don't exactly realize how many opportunities you have once you are here. Once you start connecting with different people, there are several opportunities. I thought in my mind that I would stick more in the e-commerce side at some point. Then I joined this position. And I'm really enjoying creating more on a consulting role, more on a digital strategy side, less product, but more tech. I don't know, it's different. I was not picturing this, but it was basically one super positive outcome that it was 100% due to the MBA.
Thank you. I guess I'll take one last question, and then there are many more, and I promise we'll answer all of them out of the webinar. So we understand the application process, but for the alumni point of view, what was your process and what advice would you give us, especially for the interview?
Yeah, so maybe focus on the interview. What advice would you have for the interview? And so let's do Sid, Carlos, and Mireille in that order.
I think from my end, it's really important to be yourself in that interview. I remember when I was prepping for mine, I saw a bunch of YouTube videos, read a lot of articles. None of them really worked for me. It just seemed way too stuffy and way too formal. That's not who I am. So it's very, very important to be yourself, because this is the time that you get to first meet your professors. You get to meet Professor Sluss. You get to talk to the Career Lab people. You might meet some of the alumni. This is when they get to really know you and you get to know them really well for the first time. So you don't want to start that off with like this, with someone else's personality. Go in, be yourself, tell your story, your goals, your dreams. That I think is super important. And of course, ask the questions that you want to, that would spark ideas between everyone at ESSEC and within you to how you want your career to grow. So I think that's super important for sure.
From my side, I think that it's important to build your storytelling and make sure that you understand why you are on that interview. What are your expectations? And as Sid was saying, that it's crucial. Be yourself. You don't need to impress anyone. You need to understand what you are doing and let the people understand who you are, to make sure that actually it fits your profile with the university, because that's why actually it's a boutique MBA, because it's not meant for anyone. But if it's the right suit, like it doesn't matter the experience that you have. They will see who you are and the potential that you have. So it's more about like building a correct storytelling on where you have been, where do you want to be, and it will naturally come out in the interview.
Mireille.
So just to complete, so everything was already said. So yeah, it's good to have a plan. It's for sure you need to have a plan, ask the right questions, but you need to also listen to what people are telling you. So when you have like great persons in front of you and the committee that are just proposing something, it's good to have like what you really want to do, but it's also you need to listen to what they may have seen, and they may have like really good recommendations for you based on what comparison they did with other candidates. So it's again using everything that you have to just to be where you want to be at a later stage. So it's fine if the plan didn't work out 100%. It's okay. It's just again about trusting all the process from A to Z.
Thank you. One last word just to find out how we can keep in touch with us. Obviously, there's the website, about this one. We have the Global MBA address as well. So the inbox, we're answering all of your emails in that box. So feel free to send us an email if you have any questions. You can get in touch with the current students via ESSEC Talk on the website, but you can also flash that little QR code here. And then we are on social media. We have been on LinkedIn for a while. You can join us. And we are now on Instagram. And our current students are really happy to share what they're doing. So feel free to follow us. Thank you for attending the webinar. We'll have many more in the future. And we're here to answer all of your questions offline now. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much, Sid, Mireille, and Carlos. It was wonderful to be with you again.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for having us. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.